Parshas Shemini almost seems like two distinct Parshiyos that don't fit together, and one of them doesn't seem to belong at all. Because first we have the dedication of the Mishkan, following the 7 days of practice, of preparation. Now comes Vayhi Bayom HaShmini. It's the 8th day and we're ready to launch. The Mishkan was ready to be inaugurated. And certainly, as events unfolded in our Parsha, not everything went according to plan. But the narrative of the beginning of the Parsha is about the culmination of the last few Parshiyos, about all those details about the Mishkan and Korbanos. And then the Torah shifts and talks about kashrus, seemingly unrelated. The details of which animals are kosher, which animals are not kosher, which one belongs, clearly the first one. That's the culmination, as we said before, in all of the Parshiyos that we've had until now. Finally, the goal of having the Shekhinah, now the Shekhinah is going to come and is going to be present. But why kashrus? Why now? And next week we'll return to the more natural progression of tzaras and other types of korbanos. Why is specifically here the parsha of kashrus included? And the Torah seems to tell us the answer, but in another sense it compounds the problem. Because at the end of the parsha, at the conclusion of the kashrus issues, the Torah tells us, Al tishaktzus nafshosechem b'chol asher tashreit v'lostamu b'hem nitbeisam. Don't be metame, don't impurify yourselves with these non-kosher items. Why? Because you're supposed to be holy. You're supposed to be holy like me. What does the food that we eat have to do with holiness? Holiness seems to have to do something with the Mishkan. What's this imperative of being holy? What is Kedusha? And do we really even want to be holy? On one level, the Chachamim are clear that the food that we eat impacts us. A non-kosher food in particular is metamte mesalev. It closes a person's heart to spirituality. It's a poison for the soul, which is why we have to be so careful about kashrus and what we allow to enter our mouths. But I think the Torah must be telling us something more. We are commanded to be holy, not just to avoid foods. There's a positive experience of kedusha that is somehow supposed to emerge from kashrus. What is that experience? What is that mandate of kedoshim tehiyum? What is kedusha? What does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want from us? The Rambam was a master of categorization, and where he placed the different halachos was with great precision. One of the volumes of the Rambam's Mishnah Torah is in fact kedusha, holiness. Which halachos are included? The korbanos? No. The Beis HaMikdash? No. Other holy halachos? No. Sefer Kedusha is about forbidden sexual relationships and what foods we can eat and not eat. Aren't all those things the antithesis of Kedusha? What does that have to do with Kedusha? And I think what the Rambam is teaching us is that no, the definition of Kedusha is not to be separate from worldly pleasures, but to be in control of how we indulge. We can eat, and we can eat good food, but it has to be kosher. There are rules. We can have a physical relationship with a member of the opposite sex, but it has to be in the framework in which it's permitted. Kedusha is the ability to be in control of how you indulge, not to be aloof and separate. That's not something that God would command each and every person. Be a part of the world, enjoy it, but use it to elevate ourselves. Be in control of your desires. And the same idea is reflected by the Ramban in the beginning of Parshas Kedoshim. Do not be a novel bereshus haTorah. That it's permitted, I can do whatever I want. Be in control, don't overindulge. And I think that is specifically why the Torah put kashrus at the end of the Mishkan. Because it's possible after the lengthy discussion of the Mishkan that we would think and we would come to the conclusion that the only way to connect to Hashem is through the holiness of korbanos and being in the Beis HaMikdash. I have to stay there. I can't go back to my life. I can't go back to work. I can't go back to play. I can't go back to my family. That is not the case. We don't need to be in the Mikdash in order to experience Kedusha. Kedusha is wherever we allow it by being in control of our desires. When we are in control, when we bring that Kedusha in, when we show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we are not controlled by our desires, but we control them, that is a level of Kedusha. And that is why the Torah includes it specifically here. And the Torah tells us that if we want to be Kadosh, yes, the Mishkan is an important part of allowing the Shekhinah, but it's not just that. It's how we control our lives, how we control our desires that will ultimately bring us closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu.